Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Fed Up, your no BS nutrition podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Marie, certified personal trainer and nutrition specialist, working with clients since 2014. After swimming up diet culture's bullshit stream for so many years, I am fed the absolute up with how miserable it's making people feel when we are supposed to be getting healthier. This podcast is here to help you gain your sanity back so you can stop yo-yoing once and for all and finally learn how to trust yourself so you can enjoy food again without fear or shame while still getting to your health goals. My aim is to teach you how to detect the BS in not just the food and diet industries, but in all realms of life, because I know that, like me, we are all just a little fed up. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Alrighty, some of us are not going to like this one, and I apologize ahead of time. But for others, this might not even really be relevant for you at all, so feel free to find another episode. And today, in this episode, I really want to talk about how our organizational styles, or lack thereof, is affecting our nutrition habits. And along with this is messiness in the home, a disorganized or unstructured schedule, procrastination, and all of those things that we may not realize are contributing to our environment for nutrition in your kitchen, in your space, in your routine. And sometimes we try really hard to keep up with a meal plan or how to eat healthy, but we really haven't addressed these underlying organizational issues or the underlying environment that is not really conducive to healthy eating. So I'm going to talk about a couple of different areas here, but I do want to say that this is not meant to shame anyone. Shame and guilt does not drive effective behavioral change. However, sometimes we don't realize how these things are connected. So when you do try really hard to change what you're eating, to change your workout schedule, or to even start a workout schedule, if you haven't really organized your routine or your space to have you actually looking forward to cooking healthy meals or able to cook healthy meals or able to actually work out in a space in your home, or you chose a gym that you actually like and that is convenient to your home or your work. So all of these like environmental things that we don't realize are totally affecting our decisions every single day. And I find a lot of times we try to fit our healthy habits like as if they're a square into a circle box of life. We'll just run with that analogy. So when you try to force these habits into a shape that doesn't exist in your current lifestyle, it becomes exponentially harder to maintain those healthy habits. So the first thing I want to talk about is decision fatigue and cognitive load. So when you have a buildup of stress and mental energy that you need to make decisions, your brain is working overtime. So when you have like a lot of mess to deal with, let's talk about maybe physical mess or like the clutter in the corner of your room or a sink full of dishes or something like that, you have unfinished task, which now puts your executive function under a lot of strain. It takes a lot of planning, prioritizing, reducing impulsiveness, and all of those things that it actually does take to like start to clean or come home and start to cook or whatever it may be. And now you're exhausted because there's all these little mini tasks to do and your brain is fried, right? So then you're also procrastinating. We're delaying our tasks with mindless eating, or we're delaying our meals. We're just like skipping through lunch or skipping breakfast because we decided to sleep late and we're running late now. And again, like this snowball effect for having like this unstructured space, either in your schedule or in your actual physical space, leads to our desire for quick, easy options, things that are maybe ready-made or ultra-processed or lower prep foods. And as I am a huge proponent as like having convenient or quick food options, but knowing that your brain will be craving dopamine with extra calories, extra fat, extra sugar, etc., plus combine that with decision fatigue and a messy fridge or a messy kitchen, and you're much more likely to order DoorDash or to just eat a few crackers and call it good. So you're not going to be wanting to actually make or have meals that are nutrition forward or have your goals in mind because you're dealing with so many other things. And granted, some of this stuff might be outside of your control. I realize that we do not just live in our bubble, but what are some things that you can control? And I know sometimes, as much as you want to be a morning person and you set your alarm for an hour early, you just keep hitting the snooze, and that's why you don't have time for breakfast. So some of this is just willpower, right? Some of it is just, okay, what do we have to do to get you to get up early? But also, if you don't have a kitchen that you enjoy going to, if you don't have something to look forward to in the morning, it can be really challenging to make that trek over to the kitchen, realize that you still have dirty dishes in from last night, or realize that your fridge is kind of a mess and you don't really even know what to grab. So like, see how these are all kind of related? So when you don't have organization in your schedule, it's really common now to also not really have organization to being able to like clean regularly. And this does not mean that you live in a sterile environment. All right. I am literally looking around my studio cabin right now with things kind of strewn all over the place. But I did do my dishes and wipe all my counters down because the last few days I've been feeling a little bit of that seasonal depression, actually, maybe for the last few weeks now. And it's really easy for me, especially because I live alone, for my dishes to kind of like, I could do them tomorrow. And then next thing you know, it's 2 days worth of dishes and it's my whole sink. And now I can't prepare other foods that I want to prepare because my kitchen's a mess. So when you have an area in your house that you're avoiding because you have to clean it first, you're not going to go in there. So whether that's your fridge, whether that's your, I don't know, another area in your room, but we're speaking about nutrition today. So you want your kitchen to be a place that you actually enjoy being, which whether that means that you need to like revamp your decor or make sure that your Tupperware containers are all organized, or make sure that your spices are within, reach of the stove and they're visible. And like sometimes there's a whole way of like flowing your kitchen. Yeah, we're going with it. But making your kitchen flow that you actually enjoy cooking in it. If there's just some type of bottleneck or some type of hiccup of like your kitchen is a mess or your fridge hasn't been cleaned out in a while, and so you don't even know what foods are in there. So like finding a system that keeps your kitchen clean, that keeps your fridge with like rotating food items, that you don't have something like going bad in the back. So like every week or every month or every time you go grocery shopping, whatever that looks like for you, you need to be doing like a fridge swipe. You need to be sweep. Can't talk today. We're getting through the podcast and we're not starting over. That's what matters. So all of that to be said, when you have lots of food, but nothing to eat, or you want to cook, but you just don't want to be in your kitchen, let's look at why. Let's look at the root factor. And yes, some of it could be just, I'm tired and I don't want to, but look at maybe why we don't want to. Is it because your kitchen is actually not really a place that you like to spend time in? Is it because, again, like maybe there was something with your routine or your schedule this morning that totally offset everything and now you are running by the seat of your pants all day long? So look at this environmental chaos and look at how it leads to the physiological or the cognitive stress load. And what that's going to do is not only do you avoid those areas, or again, you have decision fatigue, so you just go for like the quickest thing, it also is going to increase your cortisol, which increases your appetite, which worsens your emotional eating and your coping skills. And then a visual chaos, like having a space that causes you like stress, is going to also increase your appetite. Funny how everything is connected. So I get it when it's hard to like clean and then cook and then clean and then cook. And so it's easy to rely on convenient foods or to just skip it altogether. But when all you have to do is cook and then clean again, and you have a system and you have a rhythm, it's going to help. And so the next thing that I have is you haven't really developed routines. So you don't have a cleaning routine. You don't have a grocery shopping routine. Maybe you do, but it's just kind of like, again, whenever you have time, or I'm just going to go and kids are screaming their heads off. Like, if you haven't really been able to develop the skill to go home and cook, and I'm not saying that again because like something's wrong with you, or well, you just need to try harder. Like, no, it's just one of those things that maybe isn't currently in your daily routine to get home and start dinner, or to cook for yourself even when you're not cooking for anybody else. That is, I find, what most people struggle with is like, well, I can cook for other people, but if it's just me, I'm having a bowl of cereal, which is fine. Like, that's totally fine to do some of those days. But if you're finding that those are more days than not, or if you find that you are really having to go out of your way to meal prep for multiple hours, or like you spend all of Sunday grocery prepping, and that can be exhausting every single week. So you want a routine that works for you, not you are swimming upstream trying to make this routine work when it just doesn't. And sometimes we have to get a little creative. So one thing that I actually enjoy doing, because I am really weird about textures, and if my food is a little too old, my brain will tell me it is bad, even if it's not. So I try to reduce food waste by actually going to the grocery store 2 to 3 times a week. And granted, that is not realistic for a lot of people. For me, though, just to be able to pick up fresh berries or a fresh salad rather than like day 4 berries or day 4 salad where it's not looking so hot anymore, or being able to grab a rotisserie chicken that'll last me a couple of days, like that is my convenience factor of, okay, yes, I need to go out of my way to like go to the store more, but it helps me actually eat properly and reduce less food. And it also helps me stay true to like what I actually want that day. So I tend to, I can make a whole meal plan for the week, which is great, especially to reduce the decision fatigue. But for me personally, like I might change my mind by Thursday. So I've learned for myself that I might have a couple of food options, but I can kind of mix and match, or I don't really even buy the ingredients until the day of. Again, this does not work for everyone. This does not work for me all the time either, but I do find that giving myself permission to like go to the grocery store multiple times a week has actually been helpful. Whereas for other people, it's just one bulk shop a month, or just a couple of items that they pick up once a week. Whatever it looks like for you, you've got to learn that routine. If your routine right now is to hit the snooze and sleep in and not eat breakfast, like, okay, well, if we're trying to eat breakfast, we've got to figure out a routine that actually works for. So that being said, this all is like this vicious cycle, right? So I want you to think about where these nutrition bottlenecks could be, whether it's the disorganization in your actual space and in your kitchen, or like, again, not even that you're a messy person. I'm not saying that. We all don't want to do our dishes, but I'm also saying like, make sure the flow of your kitchen is nice to look at. Make sure you actually enjoy using your appliances or looking in your fridge. And it might seem pretty minuscule, or why does that even matter? I can't just go buy a new fridge. I'm not saying that, but like make it look clean and approachable, and like you actually want to open it and cook food rather than all of your food is just shoved into drawers and rotting in the back of your fridge, right? So when you look at where these things might be actually holding you up outside of the actual food or the actual nutrition, it can be really helpful to develop a plan of fixing that routine, or slowly getting into the habit of where your kitchen and your space are a lot more organized and a lot more approachable. And then you can practice now this like, where is your negative self-talk, right? So you might be thinking again, like, well, that's such a simple thing. I shouldn't care what plates I use. I should just make dinner because that's what you need to be doing. But like, all of a sudden you have plates that you really want to use, and then you make a really good dinner because you want to use your plates. Like, it seems really silly, but it does work for people. Again, you kind of have to be creative. It works differently for everybody. And then if you have ADHD, depression, OCD, like those neurodivergent things can make it really hard to keep ourselves organized, again, physically and mentally. Dealing with meal prep, grocery shopping, time management, and even listening to your hunger and fullness cues become a lot more challenging. And this is why I think it's even more important. If you are depressed and you let your space also get depressed, it is this vicious feedback loop of, well, now my space is making me depressed. And now it's accumulated over the course of weeks, months, years, decades. And now it seems like such a haunting, like really, really high effort task. Whereas if you just kind of did a little bit every day, every week, it's not so mountainous, right? So the same thing with nutrition, same thing with new routines, same thing with new organizational styles. Like find something small, little that's doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. And learning how to respect your needs in that sense is really helpful. And again, I'm not talking about like, well, your space needs to be perfectly clean because otherwise you're a slob and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying, like, when my space is messy, I feel messy. Like my head is not in a good space. I don't want to do anything at home, right? I just want to like take a nap and ignore everything. So I'm hoping that this will help you maybe look at these other factors that are not just like you trying to white knuckle your way into eating better, but looking at how your environment affects your mood and how your organizational style or how your routine is or isn't being conducive to your goals. So hopefully that'll give you a little bit of food for thought and give you a little bit of motivation to maybe just go clean that one cabinet that you've been neglecting that has your Instapot in it and make a fun new recipe or something. So dig out those corners, figure out what you need to be doing to make your space more inviting. And I hope you the best luck of that. Some of us might have a lot more work to do than others, but again, just take it slow. Like having something that you actually look forward to, whether it's using certain Tupperware or a certain serving platter or just using a certain appliance or just being in a space that feels healthy can be really powerful. So hope this helps. I will speak at you next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for being here, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, please screenshot and tag me over on Instagram or leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening from. Your support means the world to me and only helps me get the No BS news out to more people. If you're interested in working with me in nutrition or personal training, check out my programs and courses on my website at kaylamariefitness.com and on Instagram at kaylamari_fit. See you next week.